Hey everybody, how's it going? Doug here, one of the host, producers, and creators of the Genre of Your Life podcast, bringing you our review roundup episode this week. On this week's episode, I have a very special guest. My lovely girlfriend Zayda Sulzer joins the show. We're reviewing Thanksgiving as well as Emerald Fennell's new movie, Saltburn. Also a recap of my first time watching the Twilight franchise. So a lot to talk about on this show. As always, guys, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. We also have a full audio show on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. Whether on Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcasts, hit the follow button, leave a review, leave a rating. Helps us out so much. And we just hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. Thank you to you all for the ongoing support. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and hope you enjoyed the show. Hi, Zayda. How are you?
Hi, Doug. I'm good.
Welcome to the show, finally.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
You know, a year into the show, come tomorrow, you finally joined the podcast. Welcome, 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 my friend. You are finally here. I dragged it to all the movies I see, whether it's from Spider-Man, whether it's to Nope, or what else did we see? So we saw Bros last year. A lot of movies.
A lot
of movies. Our first date was actually Cruella, which was a very good movie in 2021. That was our, third date?
Yeah.
At the Alamo Draft House. First movie date.
Yeah.
My apologies. Our first movie date was Cruella at the Alamo Draft House here in Phoenix, but not anymore. But welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. So we had a busy past week and a half of screenings and press screenings and movie reviews. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's go into Thanksgiving first. We saw that last night, kind of fresh in our minds with our friend Marie.
Yeah.
You know, you're a horror fan. I think I'm more into horror movies now, thanks to you, luckily. Mm-hmm. I think I watch stuff like, you know, we love Barbarian, we like Halloween movies, we like all kinds of spooky movies for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Thanksgiving is kind of one that I told you about. It's, you know, for our viewers, Thanksgiving is kind of like, was a fake trailer to 2007's Grindhouse by Rodriguez and Tarantino before Death Proof and Planet Terror. And it's kind of like a spoof trailer, like Edgar Wright did one, Rob Zombie did one. But Eli Roth, who's, you know, master crying out, not master, but like one of the biggest, you know, hard directors right now with like Hostel and Green Inferno and Cabin Fever. He's no shame to do horror movies, kind of like very gory, very over the top kills. But anyway, Thanksgiving was originally a fake trailer for before Grindhouse, and now Eli Roth, this is now 15 years later, is now doing it as a full-length feature film for Sony Pictures. Basically, you know, Thanksgiving in this town called Plymouth in Massachusetts. There's a killer on the loose. You know, it's 1 year after a really tragic tragedy in the town, and now there's a killer on the loose, kind of going after the small town and its victims. You know, again, you're more of a horror fan than I am, kind of usually. But what were your thoughts of the movie overall?
Well, first, I still want to watch that fake trailer because that is so interesting that they made a whole movie off of it, and I didn't realize that it was 15 years later.
Yeah.
That is a long gap. I wonder how that came about. I'm kind of interested in that origin, but I liked it a lot. I think I was more of a fan than you are, obviously. I thought it was like super gory. Sometimes I had to look away just of the amount of blood and gore in it. Obviously, like, it was, you know, purposely satirical, a little bit campy, which I kind of thought was funny. I think the movie wasn't taking itself too seriously, which I liked. Obviously, it's about, you know, a horror Thanksgiving movie. Like, it can't be that serious. But I liked it. I was laughing. Me and Marie were laughing the whole time.
Yeah, you guys were good. You guys were a good audience last night. I feel like you guys were really kind of like the right crowd for this movie.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking for this one just because of the Grindhouse trailer. You know, back in the day, I'm a huge Rodriguez and Tarantino fan. I love Death Proof. You know, Eli Roth, to me, this one, again, I'm probably the minority of this right now. You take like Rotten Tomatoes of like 90%. All my fellow critics loved it. People are loving it. All the fans are loving it. I don't know. I'm actually a different mood than you guys. I feel like I saw a movie that was just kind of just like not for me for some reason. Eli Roth, to me, is kind of a hit or miss. I liked his Death Wish movie back in 2018 with Bruce Willis. A movie that was hated on by everyone that saw it. But I remember me and Malone saw it. We thought it was pretty damn good, actually. It was fun. Nothing special, but it was kind of Bruce Willis doing kind of like a John Wick-esque kind of movie, but way lower budget and very campy as well. But I still had fun with it. You know, like I said, Green Inferno, the movie I saw in high school, senior year, that just kind of fucked me up. Like, it's about college students getting their plane crashed, and it's like Island of Cannibals. And that shit just stuck with me for, like, to this day. I have sort of, like, nightmares about that movie because it was just, like, how grotesque and how gory, and you saw people getting eaten, and it was disgusting.
Gross.
But I remember feeling sick. I was like, why am I watching this movie? No, it's through a college class. I had like a dual enrollment in high school, and it was like it just fucked me up. It was disgusting. I was like, I'm done with horror for a while.
Well, there was a little bit of that in Thanksgiving, too.
Oh, for sure.
There's a little bit of cannibalism.
And as soon as I saw that, I was like, damn it, I'm out. Because I can't do anything with cannibalism, people eating each other, stuff like that. I'm out. Or anything with like kind of fingernails, kind of horror. I can't do that for some reason. I'm cool with, Freddy. I'm cool with Jason. I'm cool with Michael Myers. I love Barbarian so much. And that was kind of weird. But, like, I can't do, like, kind of the torture, like, Saw.
You liked Fresh, didn't you?
Not really.
No, I liked Fresh.
Good performances, but I thought it was kind of lacking something for some reason. I don't know. It was, for a lower budget movie, it was pretty good. Also, that Disney produced it, too. I was kind of like, wow, it's kind of a gamble for Disney to produce this movie now.
Yeah, I liked it.
But no, for me, I don't like, I guess, again, cannibalism, humor, or horror.
Yeah.
It's not for me, never has been.
I think it was so over the top that it was, Thanksgiving, that it wasn't like, you weren't necessarily like scared. Like, I think it was more funny. I mean, I was a little jumpy. There were some scenes that kind of like got me.
Oh, the beginning?
Yeah, the beginning.
That one scene.
I can't remember what else. Somewhere in the middle, I jumped. Obviously, it didn't make a huge impact because I can't even tell you like specific details of what happened. The trampoline scene. Yeah. That is ingrained.
Because I warned you about that. I was like, oh no, it's coming. In the trailer they show that scene, and it's very like ugh. And so I saw in the trailer for this movie, I was like, uh oh. And then the scene came up, I was like, shit, that's right, it's in this movie. And I looked away. I was like, I don't want to see this again. I saw it was like 13, and it kind of fucked me up. And I was like, I don't want to see this scene again in a bigger budget. I was like, no, thank you. But yeah, I mean, I definitely can see why people kind of fun this movie. It's very like Scream and Halloween in a way, but like over the top gore and over the top kind of like over the top of kills, whatever. But that's Eli Roth's thing in all his movies is like, we can go fucking crazy and do like bloody and gore and guts and cannibalism. And for me, I'm like, it's not for me.
Right.
It's not for me. Like, I don't like that kind of stuff. And he's always been that way. I'll tell you what, though. I'm more fan of him as an actor than a director. Like, I thought he was great in Glorious Bastards with Tarantino. He's a great scene with Brad Pitt. He plays the bear Jew who kind of smashes Nazis in with a bat. And it's pretty violent, but it's kind of funny at the same time because Tarantino doing Tarantino.
Right.
But, I see all that kind of stuff, too. He's not a bad actor. I think I've seen him and stuff like, the show was terrible. The Idol was so bad. But he wasn't terrible in The Idol. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, there was good performances in The Idol, like Davina and Randolph, Lily Rose Depp, and him, Hank Azaria. But the show was awful. The show was like just.
I was thinking about the other day. I feel like the only good thing that came out of The Idol was the music.
The music and some performances. Music for sure, though.
The music was fire. But okay, so it's not like you didn't Thanksgiving wasn't a bad movie. It was just that it wasn't your cup of tea.
I thought it was bad. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. That's why I thought it was bad. I thought it was a joke at first. I was like,
right.
I was gonna be first like a parody kind of movie.
Well, it was kind of.
But like, come on, that acting was atrocious. Like,
yeah, the dialogue was bad.
Dialogue was awful.
I love Addison Rae. Her music career is phenomenal, but her
acting career, from what I've seen, oh boy.
One thing I had was that those high schoolers did not look like high schoolers.
They're 30 and 40 years old.
Especially the guys. Yeah. Like the girls. Scuba. Yeah, Scuba was like.
35-year-old man.
He was built like.
He's a mortgage, bro. He's a fucking mortgage. There's
and
no way.
There were some weird loose ends, like the one, I guess, like Russian girl. Like that was just kind of random.
Yeah.
Like the dad, it was all just kind of random. Like the dialogue, I felt like didn't really make sense, and yeah, it I don't know. I think it, like I said before, like it didn't take itself too seriously. I think it was like funny. I think people that are horror fans more like me, who like all different types of horror and not like, purists or whatever, would enjoy it for sure. I don't think you need to go, well, I know we support the cinema, but I don't think we need to go in theaters.
I don't think so either.
But maybe like you could rent it. I guess it's kind of like you got to see it now though, because it's very Thanksgiving. But I think it's a unique idea. I mean, obviously it came from something else, so it's not that unique, but I don't know any other like
fake trailers.
Holiday horror movie besides, what was the Christmas one we saw last year?
Oh, Violent Night. I love that movie. I love that movie.
See,
has a huge following now too.
Yeah, but you could even say those are like comparable because it's a little bit. That was a little bit campy too.
Right, Violent Night though wasn't a horror movie. That's more like guys who made John Wick and Bullet Train made those movies. So it was very like more action. Like, it was kind of like, oh, Whoop Santa Claus was a badass. Like look at like the movie Nobody. The guy who plays Saul, Bob Odenkirk. He was like a dad. Guess what? He's a fucking badass. They're good at making people look badass. It could be Santa Claus. It could be a nobody. It could be a guy who's retired, aka John Wick. They're good at making kind of like normal, I guess, ordinary people, or this way Santa Claus. Yeah. Badass. So. Yeah. I see your point, though. Yeah. I see your point, but you're right. I mean, there's not a lot of kind of like, except for Halloween, right? Kind of like, or what's the one? My Bloody Valentine. Like, there's not a lot of like holiday themed horror movies that are kind of like very mainstream or very kind of like popular. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I can see again. Before I get into my actual thoughts about the movie, I feel like this for sure have a cult following for sure. Yeah. I'm not a fan of this movie at all, but I do think that it would be a cult following of this movie somehow. Yeah. Like years later, like, oh my god.
There always is. Yeah. For sure.
You're right. Like, I mean, look at Halloween. Halloween was pretty popular, but it had a huge following, and then the whole sequels or whatever, or even Scream. When Scream came out, no one saw it because they were like, Drew Barrymore is done in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And they put her in like the 25 years ago. Sorry, spoiler alert. But, like, that was marketed to, like, hey, look at us. We're kind of making fun of our horror because horror was kind of dying out at the time. Right. And now it's like, hey, we're bringing it back. But I don't know. But again, Scream really had a huge cult following. Then the sequels came out. Now it's back better than ever, the last two movies. So it's cool seeing that following for that movie, too. But I can for sure see the following of this movie maybe in a year or two, or even maybe a couple more years than that. But,
totally, yeah. I'll watch on Thanksgiving.
But yeah, I mean, again, I'm glad you and Marie did the funny impression of one of the deaths was hilarious yesterday. the saw kind of death, I thought that was pretty funny. But to me, again, I thought the writing was pretty bad. I thought the acting was again atrocious.
It was not that bad.
I thought it was. It
was. Yeah. I mean, all those high schoolers are mostly no names, right?
Honestly,
besides Addison Rae, she's a TikToker.
One thing I respect was that I didn't know any of the high schoolers.
I didn't mind the main girl. I don't remember her name.
She was stale to me. Like, she was giving nothing. She was like, oh my god. To me, it was like she was playing basically Neve Campbell, but like.
Right. Well, it was very Scream-ish though, because they wore the John Carver mask.
And the varsity jackets.
Mm-hmm. I thought we liked the beginning though. The beginning was really good.
You know what? Yes, I take that back. The only thing I like about this movie, other than maybe some of like the score, I guess, but like was the beginning. The beginning was very
solid.
Like okay, I like the kind of build to this because it's a very relatable horror. Yeah. I won't explain what happened. But, okay. It's going to spoil there, but like I think we've all seen videos of this instance before because it's happens in every city. What happens? And it's...
Is that even a spoiler?
I think so.
Okay, we keep it
It's not a trailer, that's why.
Spoiler free here?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
We saw it at the screening, so I don't want to like review it. I don't want to
Yeah, it's very realistic. It was Black Mirror-esque in that sense of how realistic it was. Right. The horror aspect of it. And it was obviously exaggerated, and that's kind of like what kind of, I guess you realized it was going to be a little bit campy off the bat with how crazy the death scenes were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. You know what? I think what he does too, all his movies, like there's some kind of commentary in it, which again, I love in movies, but it's fine. But like, and Hostel was like why Americans shouldn't go to Europe, whatever, or go to other, or like third world countries, whatever. It was commentary. Or Death Wish was about like gun control in Chicago, and I'm like, yeah, but that was really at the time where Chicago was still number one in like deaths in America. So it was kind of like it's a little too soon. It was kind of just like you're not making your point clear. It's kind of a little messy. I do think in the beginning of opening scene of this movie,
it was clear.
It was clear because I'm like, I know I've seen this before. I've seen this firsthand. I've seen people do this. I've seen people act out like this. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
I agree. But I think the end, it wasn't about that, which was like fine. Because like you were saying, like the other ones kind of, it was like too much, too much commentary.
Hostile,
this one, it was just like the ending, like it wasn't necessarily commentary. It was kind of just like a classic horror scenario.
It was a slasher.
It wasn't really like deep.
It's a very like it definitely reminded me of again like other maybe like Wes Craven movies or other kind of like like I don't know other slasher movies. But to me again I thought the acting was not great. Writing was pretty bad. Again, the kills are interesting.
Unique. I was gonna say that the kills are unique.
Unique.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not. Again, I know going at Eli Roth got some kind of like really kind of gore fest. I kind of knew there would be some kind of unique kills, so I'll give them that. Very unique comes to kills. But I just found myself, I never do this in movies too, except for like me one time. I hate people do this too. Like you're in a movie and all you hear is this, and I'm like, and so like the audience or the critics are kind of just like they're not into this, and I could give it a chance, but like I've been in a lot of press screenings now where I hear like the critics go, they're not into it.
And you heard that this time?
That was me last night.
Oh.
I did it twice. I was like,
okay, because people were like clapping.
oh, people were into it.
People were laughing.
They had a huge
It was a good energy. I haven't been in like a crowd like that since like, not obviously to the same extent, but like when we saw Spider-Man.
On the way home?
Yeah.
That was like.
That was an awesome crowd, but I like, it still felt like energy. That made me like feel excited. Like that felt like good. Like this is what the movie should be. Like that energy. Because like what we're gonna talk about Saltburn. That one, obviously two different. That one, Saltburn, wasn't necessarily funny, but the energy was there. I like the energy.
Yeah, so I'll give you that. This is why you go in the movies. I feel like what we experienced last night is the energy, because the Phoenix horror community was there for sure. A lot of shout outs before the movie started.
Yeah.
Like the girl down was like, oh, wait, Phoenix horror people. And a lot of Phoenix people I follow on Instagram or through the show was like, they were there too. Again, they loved it. Again, I'm happy for them. For me, it just wasn't for me. I had a lot of issues with kind of just like, to me, it was messy for some reason. It was very messy because.
Yeah.
Again, it was like I give a lot of crap to movies that I had like really kind of bad dialogue and really bad like acting. Right. This had that from what I was seeing on my fellow critics and on Rotten Tomatoes. Everyone's loving this movie. I was like, we're giving this one a pass. But I've seen way worse before that people hated it. I was like, interesting. Like for example, Five Nights at Freddy's was terrible. And actually, not terrible. It was bad. It was bad. But I feel like me and the other critics kind of agreed on that, how bad it was. But again, also, people hated Exorcist Believer. Me and Nick loved it. That movie universally hated on. So, like...
to each your own.
It's all subjective, right?
I think, especially horror. Like, I feel like horror, it's just what's scary to you.
Yeah.
It's what, like, personally gets you. Like, because we took separate cars to the movie, so I like was driving home and I felt a little like spooked. Like I was like, oh, I feel like there's someone behind me.
I don't blame you. That's rightfully so. Because I thought sometimes like my review last night, I was at the theater after I left you. I was kind of like looking around. I'm like, someone behind me. Yeah. Some girl walked behind me. My reaction. I was like, so I cut out. I was like, oh shit. I jumped. I was like, oh no. I was like, delete. I think what overall this movie to me was just like I think horror's elevated so much in the past couple of years thanks to like Jordan Peele, Blumhouse has elevated a lot. Again, Barbarian to me is like it's elevated. I feel like this is kind of a big step back. I thought Scream get away with it too, because Scream's kind of always kind of being meta and kind of commentary on horror movies and kind of like newer horror movies too. To me, I'm like this was trying to be too much, like kind of like play too much of like, oh, this is a B level kind of jokey joke kind of like horror movie. Yeah, and I'm like. I thought we're past this. I think we've seen a huge like new thing of horror and thriller. I'm like, wow, this to me feels kind of dated at times for a 2023 movie. Yeah. Also, the Boston accent fucking sucks.
Oh my gosh, what's that actor's
Patrick
name?
Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey.
Dr. Dreamy, right?
If you're listening, sir, you gotta get some work on that accent. It was just like it was
bad.
He was sounding British at times. He was going in and out of it, and
you've been to Boston. You probably heard you heard authentic accent, not the whole Matt Damon and Mark Wahlberg shit, but you've heard like the actual.
So bad. It was so bad.
When I see Ben Affleck doing the fucking Ice Spice commercial, like he's putting on his accent, like, bro, you're from there? That sounds terrible. And with this, Patrick Dempsey, who I actually admire as an actor, what accent were you doing? Like, stick to like accent, please. Like, for the love of God, like this is really bad.
I don't think it was necessary. I think he could have just been like had a regular act, like, because no one else had Boston accents, right? And they were all from there.
He was the only one that had an accent.
So then what was the point?
No, the one guy had the high school rival guy.
Right. But I don't know. And then, there wasn't good character development with the two high school kids. Or, not high school. The gun guys, whatever.
Oh, the local guard, the guy who sold drugs and alcohol and
to the high schoolers. Yeah, that was kind of weird. Maybe it was just trying to have, like, all the, like, archetypes of, like, slasher movies.
Oh, yeah. I saw that
the dropout, and then, like, there was the jocks, and then, like, the girl that's, like, in between two guys. Like, so, yeah.
And the dumb blonde.
Yeah, but then, like, I don't know, the weird, like, hatred towards the stepmom that wasn't developed. I mean, obviously it was just a
She had
silly
no-
slasher, but yeah. One thing, I had my one pet peeve
Okay.
in movies.
What's that?
I hate when they show technology. They were like showing Instagram and how that did not look like
Oh
Instagram.
yeah, like the zooming in, whatever.
And they were zooming in on a post
You
like
can't do
so
that.
far, and you can't really do that.
You can't do that. Yeah, screenshot it and then do it.
Yeah, my mom's tried. Like, that doesn't work.
No, we have evidence of trying this.
But I think it just dates it. I think whenever you show technology in a movie, it immediately dates it because, you know, technology is ever changing. So
True.
you're going to watch this in a year, and that's not what Instagram's interface is going to look like. So I think, like,
Right.
it's just so unnecessary. I get what they're trying to do was modern. They're like, oh, we're tagged in a post. It has all of our name on it.
That was
But
so
they
dumb.
could
That
have...
was so
They could have gone about it a completely different way, and it would have, like, I think, like, not dated the film, potentially.
Oh, also too, I'm getting the fuck out of that town. I don't care. I'm moving, bro. I'm moving.
Yeah.
I'm going away for a long trip. I'm okay. Good luck to y'all.
That's what the one
I'm
girl tried to
out.
do, right? She was, like, going to Florida.
What she fucked up is that she didn't leave that night. She'd been
Yeah.
like, guess what? Fuck my stuff. I'm going on the next flight out of here. I'm going on Spirit Airlines, Frontier. I don't care. On a Greyhound.
Yeah.
I'm getting the hell out of there. I'm not staying in this town. Like,
Yeah.
this small ass town, middle of nowhere, Massachusetts. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going the hell out of here. I'm going to Boston actually. I'm going, the real accents are.
Yeah.
But what I give you props on this too, Z. Z's very good at acknowledging kind of like modern trends or modern things going on. Like we watched Not Okay last year, and you were very good at kind of like this kind of whole like observing like that's outdated. This is from years ago, whatever. And you're very
Yeah.
good at catching those kind of things of like, wow, this movie's made today.
Consistency, yeah.
But like because it's hard. I think nowadays it's hard having the people timeless. I feel like it's a lot of like things have changed so much where it's like technology and fashion and pop culture, whatever. It's very hard for a movie or a show to feel kind of like timeless.
Right.
There are and it's like that. I think Days and Confused is very timeless. I think Everybody Wants Them very timeless. Heather's thing is still kind of timeless to a degree. My whole kind of like school shooting, school bombing thing.
Right.
But like there are things that feel very timeless in other movies.
Yeah.
You're right. I think this might feel timeless to a degree in a few years, whatever. I think it should be fine for now. But Black Friday also kind of felt kind of dated because I'm like Black Friday's kind of like dying out because of like everyone's online shopping now. Everyone's doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't think it will really be timeless because
Or what they were getting at the beginning of the movie, the giveaway. I was like, then 2023. I don't see anyone fighting over that. I don't see anyone.
I agree.
Like, oh my god, I need to have this.
Yeah.
You just go on Amazon, go on.
But I think like that over exaggeration was like a part. Like it was.
Oh, for sure.
It was supposed
I
to
can
be
see it.
like that. It was supposed to be satirical in the sense of like what they were all like.
I can see that for sure. I can definitely see that. I think it's definitely like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're trying to like accomplish. But
Right.
like I said, again, I had problems with a lot of the stuff. Again, it just to me just felt like really just campy and very just messy at times. So again, I was looking forward to it, given the Grindhouse, backstory and the kind of like it was a fake trailer. Again, I give it props because it was quote unquote sort of original. But to me, I've seen so many better horror movies in the past 3 years with you that I'm like, wow, this to me, I'm kind of like, I want to watch ever again. I'm kind of like, I'm out. Again, Eli Roth, again, my friend, you're a better actor than director. I mean, all respect to you as a creative person, as an artist. But to me, this was a definitely pass. I give it honestly, I give it a 2 or 3 out of 10. I thought this was a very, just to me, it was kind of like, wow, it wasn't a waste of an hour and 45 minutes. I'm so glad I had fun with you and Marie seeing in theaters for sure. Again, I love the theatrical experience. Like you said, the crowd was into it.
Yeah.
I go for that kind of stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
But man, I've seen like some pretty kind of crappy horror movies this year alone. So it's a pass for me. What would you give it?
Out of 10?
Out of 10, yep.
I think like 4.5 out of 10. I don't think that
That's still kind of low.
it is low,
Wow.
but I would still recommend it.
Okay.
I would
Wow.
like you don't need to go to the theaters. You could just
It's a guilty pleasure.
Well, I don't feel guilty about my pleasures,
Okay.
but
Touche.
yeah. Okay, maybe like 4.5 to like 5. Like,
Out of 10?
Yeah.
All right.
Like I thought, yeah, I
More
liked
generous.
it. It was me and my girlfriend, we were laughing. Like I think definitely like if you guys are horror fans and you want something unique, kind of unique, then watch it.
Yeah, like I said, with Hunger Games coming out this weekend, if you want something during watch with your family, this could be it. Would I recommend that? No. But, Yeah, it's out.
An option.
It's out.
There's always options.
Because stuff like Office Christmas Party or whatever, or Violent Night. Once the holidays pass, it's like gone. Like no one's gonna pay to go see Thanksgiving December 15th.
Right. There's an expiration date.
Right. I think it's kind of like sometimes kind of. Also the movie's coming out like a week before Thanksgiving.
Right.
I would have been like, hey, probably the Marvels and Hunger Games, so I guess like timing on the other side. But like, I would be, hey, I'm putting it out like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and then have the 2 weeks after that just build up to it. Because if you put a movie out so close to Thanksgiving or on the holiday itself, it's like, well, that's it, and no one's gonna pay to see this after Christmas or before Christmas, so it's it's kind of dated. But this is me. But I'm looking forward to seeing how this does, both my fellow critics, the audience, and the box office.
Me too.
But yeah, guys. Next up is a movie that I'm looking forward to reviewing with you, actually, because this is going to be Emerald Fennell, her sophomore movie, which is a follow-up to her Oscar award-winning movie, Promising Young Woman, was my favorite movies of 2020. I love this movie so much. And she won an Oscar for it for Best Screenplay. It came out during COVID, unfortunately, so I remember seeing it on a screener link at home with my parents. And I was looking forward to seeing this. I remember I was in LA at the time. It was like, coming soon. I got a premiere pass for it. I was like, I'm seeing this. Can we see this? I love Carey Mulligan. I like Margot Robbie's producing it. I'm all for it. Good cast. I like the trailers a lot. McLovin was in it. I was like, let's go see it. And as you might both know, Promising Young Woman movie that sticks with you to this day.
Yeah.
Because it's very relatable in most of the movie, but the ending sticks with you like a brick. You're just like, oh my gosh, this happened. And it just sticks with you for the rest of the weeks. You're just talking about it like years later almost. Yeah. It was also a great screenplay too. It was a great screenplay, great direction. This was her first movie too.
Yeah.
That was really impressive. That's her first movie out.
Really good.
It's pretty damn good. You have a great cast. You have a great actress. You have Carey Mulligan. You have a great score. You have a great premise. The whole thing. Saltburn. Without spoiling anything, the premise of the movie basically is set in 2006. 2006. Yeah. They're at Oxford, right?
Yeah.
At Oxford, a student, freshman year, lonely guy played by Ollie, played by Barry Keoghan, who's in Banshees of Inisherin. He's the new Joker in the Batman movies, a lot of other stuff. He was in Dunkirk. He basically is his freshman year. He's a bit of a loner, a bit of kind of like a quiet, reserved kind of guy. He's desperate for friendship. He's desperate for companionship, whatever. And then one day he meets the very kind of handsome, very kind of like outgoing Jacob Elordi.
Yeah. Kind of the golden boy.
The golden boy. Everyone loves him on campus. He's the big man on campus. All the girls love him. Like he's like the guy. Like he's like the party guy. Kind of the Van Wilder of that school, basically.
Yeah. And somehow he gets into his orbit, basically.
Yeah, he gets seen by Jacob Elordi's character, and they have kind of like a friendship. But like Jacob Elordi's kind of like he feels sorry for this kid because he tells a bit of a loner too. But Elordi's very kind of charming. He's very sweet. He's very nice. So he invites him to stay with him over the summer at his family's mansion in Saltburn, upstate England. And summer of kind of just like twists and turns and darkness and shenanigans. And you don't know who's going to go. I get that to Emerald Fennell's credit of like, you don't know what's going to happen. Also, me and Z went in smart. We didn't go into the movie with any of the trailers, any of the promos. But I only read the IMDb bio, and that was it. But like we didn't know nothing about other than the girl who made Promising Young Woman. It was her second movie.
Right before you were like, I think this is a period movie, and I was
That's
like,
what I thought from the poster. From the poster, because I was like, I don't watch anything. Again, going in blind to me is kind of the way to go nowadays. Of like being kind of like, I don't know, like being surprised. Like the Holdovers, I loved. I didn't watch any trailers. Oh no, it was Paul Giamatti in the cast. I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
I do think going in blind now has helped my kind of like appreciation for other movies, or kind of like I guess. Period. That was a period movie too, but like to me it was like I'm going in blind. I'm going to go with a full kind of like what to expect. I don't know what to expect.
Well, that's what it does. It takes away your expectations, right?
Exactly.
So if you watch a trailer, you could already have preconceived notions about it.
Or
YouTube
ad or TikTok ad.
Right, like being like, oh, Jacob Elordi, he was kind of a dick in Euphoria. I don't know.
Yeah, I was willing to hate him in this movie. I was like, I hate him in Euphoria, but like let's see how it is. But Z, again, you and I saw this movie last week at the press screening. We both saw it. We had a lot to talk about it after the movie.
Yeah.
What do you think of the movie? This was a movie to remember for sure.
Yeah. No, it's good. I definitely want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's one of those movies where there was probably like clues about what the ending, essentially like what ends up happening. I feel like there's probably clues sprinkled without, but it's like you don't know what to look for.
Right.
So it's like one of those that you have to like go back and like watch it to like maybe like see if you could like you missed anything or connect the dots and stuff. I thought it was really aesthetically pleasing. And you were talking about how I kind of like noticed like fashion or like trends or whatever. I thought they had a really good attention to detail because like even in the first scene you see like a girl walking on campus with like a juicy tracksuit, and that's very early 2000s. So I thought like all of the like aesthetics were really awesome. The clothes, the set design, like when they're all like sitting around watching Superbad, like it just really like.
I love that.
It puts you into that time and place, but also it's like that weird juxtaposition because it's like it's the early 2000s, but they're also super rich. And what did that look like in the early 2000s? Like, what's that gaucheness of it?
It's a small TV for being rich people.
Well, yeah, because maybe because I don't know, were flat screens like a huge thing in 2006?
True, right.
I don't know. That's
right.
the kind of thing. Like,
oh, you're right.
Yeah, I thought Jacob Elordi did awesome. I thought he was kind of like maybe like the standout star of the show, I think, or movie, I guess. You had like compassion for him, like even though he was this rich guy,
privileged,
yeah, very privileged. He was very, very charming.
Yeah,
and I think like how he charmed. What was the main guy's name?
Barry Keoghan. Oh my gosh, I'll blank on his name today too. To my notes. His name was Ollie.
Oh, yeah, you said it.
So
Ollie.
He was playing Ollie, and then Lordy played a guy named Felix.
Right. So I think even how he, like, charmed Ollie, he's almost, like, charming the audience, too.
Yes.
And I thought it was very, like, immersive in that way because you were like, oh, I kind of like him. Like, I'm, like, kind of for him. Yeah. And, yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
You wanted to be his friend. Be his friend.
Totally.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah.
I really did. You know, again, I love Promising Young Woman a lot. And, you know, to me, I was, you know, a lot of filmmakers, when their second movie comes out, you're like, you have a lot to look forward to now because Jordan Peele won an Oscar for writing for Get Out.
Right.
Emerald Fennell won an Oscar for writing for Promising Young Woman. So you have these two new filmmakers, both won an Oscar for their first movie. I think, no, Tarantino won it for Pulp Fiction, so not his first movie. But, like, it's very impressive when you can follow up your award-winning movie with something very unique and original and ambitious. So,
well, there's a lot of pressure, too.
It's a lot of pressure. Like, everyone, making a good movie is tough as it is. Mm-hmm. Making a movie in general is a whole other thing of, like, could be bad, could be great, bad or good or whatever. It's a whole different ballgame. So
she won for the screenplay for Promising Young? Yeah, well, imagine what is that? Was it screenplay of the year or
best original screenplay?
Best original.
There's two. There's adapted and original. She won original.
Okay.
Rightfully so. Also, that was a really hot take of the Oscars that 2021. I remember I was watching. I came home from LA from looking at my apartments, or whatever. That was the year where Laura Dern, who I love, was like, "It's been a hard year, guys, for everyone." But it's been so hard for us actors. And I was like, excuse me? I'm like, what about the doctors, essential workers, you know, nurses, whatever, teachers? I'm like,
of course.
Actors? I'm like, I love actors. But I'm like, what are y'all talking about? And it was like, I remember watching Chris Rock on I think, Tonight Show with Fallon or Kimmel. And Chris Rock said, this year, didn't watch the Oscars. I watched half of it. And all you heard me scream on the TV was, say a joke. Because it was like so depressing. It was a very depressing Oscars. It was just like, in this corner right here, we have this actor. How are you today? It's almost like a funeral. You're just like, I feel uncomfortable here. Yeah. But, you know, anyway, but it's honestly, this is an original movie. Mm-hmm. You hear my out-of-theater reaction to this. It's an original studio movie. We're seeing more of this year, thank God. You know, I love seeing that we're seeing more studios taking risks. This is MGM Amazon. Investing in an original, newer filmmaker. Not a huge budget movie. This was a mid-level budget movie for theatrical. This wasn't a Prime movie. This wasn't for streaming. This was a actual theatrical release. Yes, you know, it's a limited release first and a wider release after Thanksgiving. I love seeing that they're still giving chances to original filmmaking in the theaters. That's really important for everyone as audiences, the filmmakers, the whole thing. It sticks with you. In my Twitter or X, I said it's dark, it's twisted. It's sinister at times, but it's very funny and it's very charming, like you said.
Yeah.
There's so much charm to this movie, from Jacob Elordi to like the atmosphere of it all, the set to Rosamund Pike, her husband Richard D. Grant, like
the dad. Yeah, he's so cute.
So much charm to this movie. Yeah. I was like, well, I want to be here too, despite what happens in the movie. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of charm to it, despite the sinister and dark nature, undertone of it all.
Right.
again, a week later, it's still in my head about certain scenes where I was like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, that actually happened.
Certain scenes, yeah.
Because I was spoiling, but at the end of the movie, my jaw was on the floor. Like, for a minute, I was like, what the hell? I was like, what? And again, I think that adds to the fact that we don't watch any of the trailers. I was like, cool, I didn't know what to expect. And when I saw it, it just shocked me to my core at times. I was like, wow, this was quite the movie.
I think it might be different for people that if they have seen the trailers. So if you guys like haven't heard about this, I would seriously just like go watch it. I wouldn't look up anything.
No, go in blind. Any reviews, go in just go in for yourself. See what for yourself.
I really liked, I don't know if you noticed this, but Ollie, how he dressed in the beginning, right? It was it was a little shabby. It was a little kind of like playing to how he is obviously not as wealthy as all of his peers.
Goodwill, poor kid. Not poor, but like lower, kind of working class almost.
And well, he was on scholarship.
Right.
They kept mentioning like his scholarship. And then as he kind of got in with like, I guess like up in the ranks, like with Elordi's character.
And his family.
Yeah. Like, you know, lounging by the pool in their mansion. You could physically like see his like clothes change. Like he started wearing that chain.
The chain. That's right.
The gold chain.
Yes, I saw that.
And like not even that, but his swagger. Like it came out of nowhere. Like he literally
building confidence.
Right. And I thought that like I guess physical change of the dynamic was really good. And like it wasn't just like him saying like, oh, I'm different. It was like that showed it like on his body. It showed in the way he walked and the way he talked, which I thought was awesome. I would say like the climax was obviously very surprising, like what ended up happening. However, the ending, I don't think it's a new story.
No.
What happened?
You're right. No, you're right.
It's new, like it was definitely original. The storyline was original for sure.
Totally.
And like I think there's not a lot of I don't know, I thought it was interesting about how it was two guys and the friendship and like the kind of the obsessiveness of the friendship, and you don't always see that with two guys. I feel like usually you see a lot of like obsessive like girl relationships then obviously like a guy and a girl, but I thought like the two guy relationship was an interesting take.
It felt real. It felt real authentic. I know people that like was like in high school or growing up in college, so people that wanted to be people or like wanted to be them so much, like, oh my god, this person, I want to be them. It's like, that's kind of strange, man. Like, you know, be your own person. I think in the 90s, I think it was more like in the comedies. Like I want like The Cable Guy, for example, or all the movies like you see kind of like guys like want to be the guys, kind of be obsessed with other male friendships, was more for comedic purposes.
Right.
This is more dramatic and sinister and more thriller based. Where you're right.
I can't think of a movie like that.
No, I can't. Neither can I. Again, and it felt real with her writing, with Emerald Fennell's writing and her direction and her storytelling. It was like, wow, this feels real and it feels different. It feels fresh. For a 2006 movie, quote unquote 2006 movie. Yeah. It felt It felt fresh at the same time.
Totally.
I'm gonna say, to me, the standouts to me were Rosamund Pike, who I love. She was Amy and
She's
Gone
so
Girl.
good.
She was and Jack Reacher, The World's End, a lot of other stuff. Jacob Elordi, again, who won me over in this for sure. After hating him, Euphoria for years.
Yes.
And Barry Keoghan, Z was up with me at the Batman screening. I saw him as Joker. I was like, oh, another fucking Joker and him, because he was fine in Dunkirk. He was fine, and I heard he's great in the Banshees of Inisherin. But like to me, I was like, this dude can't act. I don't. What's all the hype with this kid?
Yeah.
He won me over in this movie too.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what? I'm impressed with him.
He was dynamic.
He showed me he can act. I was like, I see it now. Now I see. Also, he was in Eternals. That movie was terrible too. I'm like, who is this? This kid cannot act. Get him off the screen. I liked him. He was good. And now, like, I'm more curious now to see him as the Joker moving forward. Yeah. If they do bring him back for Joker. We'll see. Yeah. The dialogue and script, to me, was top tier as her direction. It reminded me a lot of young Tarantino. If you watch, like, True Romance, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, the way she writes characters and her dialogue, it's very her own language in a way. Like, Jordan Peele or Spike Lee or Christopher Nolan, they have their own language of how they write. It's very their unique way of writing, and the dialogue to me was very crisp. It was very sharp. It was very witty, and I was like, "Ooh, I like this," because she's making her own dialogue, like her own language, and I love that kind of filmmaker because you can watch Avengers. A movie is written by anybody, you know.
Right.
Looking at that movie if you wanted to. Like a movie to me doesn't. You don't feel like certain writing doesn't feel.
It felt like her. Basically.
It felt like her. It felt unique.
Yeah.
Which I like about it. The way she builds tension, the way she goes with the shock factor, with her clever and sharp dialogue. Again, it reminded me a lot of young Tarantino when you watch Pulp Fiction the first time. When you see Reservoir Dogs or Inglourious Bastards. It's the way she builds tension to the shock factor. That's like, oh my gosh.
And you know what I liked? I feel like she easily could have, like, you expect her to maybe do, like, a female-centric, like, a woman's issue kind of thing because of, like, what, like, Promising Young Woman was. And I like how she, like, completely flipped it and be like, no, here's, like, a story that really centered around an obsessive kind of interesting relationship between two guys.
Yeah, in their college years, yeah.
And I like that. I like how she didn't, like, just, like, do the safe option because it's like, oh, well, we know that she's, like, able to, like, write, like, women's stories.
Yes.
And I felt like it still felt, like, very realistic and, like, she was perfect to write this story, too.
Oh, totally. It shows her range as a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like her and, like, Jordan Peele and Tarantino, this is her saying, listen, I'm not a one-off filmmaker. I have a lot more to say as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I have a lot more story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot more to say as a filmmaker, as a writer, as a person. And I love that. I'm like, wow, it's very ambitious of her. Because this could have been awful. This could have been like, wow, after your award-winning movie, you made this piece of crap. No, this was a very good follow-up to your award-winning movie that kind of blew everyone away.
Yeah.
And, yeah, right, it's very impressive for her that she can write male-centric stories, too, that, again, felt really real and didn't feel like, oh, this is, like, Hollywoodized.
Well, like a woman writing about a guy. Because, like, I feel like I can see that on the flip end. Like, I don't usually like women characters written by men. So it's, like, a little, I guess, what's the word?
Well, it has to be good. It has to be authentic.
Yeah.
Like, when you see stuff like, yeah, I'm a woman, I'm proud. It's like written by a dude.
Right.
But like,
right.
when it works like stuff like, again, I guess James Cameron, who's a bit of a dick, but he's very good at writing things like Ripley in Aliens or, Sarah Connor in Terminator, like that, or I think that was kind of like, I think that's what kind of the gold standard, I think, for men writing women characters. It's still very good at times, don't get me wrong, like for certain filmmakers, but it's not, it doesn't come as easy to everyone, I feel like. It's very copy and paste.
Yeah, totally. And, like, there's always, like, the archetypes and stuff. I haven't seen those movies, so...
You would love Aliens. You would love... Dude, Sigourney Weaver is so badass in that. Oh, she's great.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's very authentic how she writes. Like you said, too, the production design and sets, loved it. The locations...
They're so good.
It wasn't green screen. It was actually in a mansion. It was actually in a big, upstate London, England, whatever.
I love the big party scene at the end.
Yes.
That was, like, how it was, like, midnight summer. Like, it was so... just cool, and like the vibe and like I don't know, the music, and it was very beautiful. Like the set was very beautiful, and especially for being, you said it was like a little bit lower budget.
Yeah, it wasn't a big budget like spectacle.
It was, I liked it a lot.
Again, when I see movies that are original, shooting on location, not giving them a green screen or kind of like on a sound stage, like this felt like cool. We're gonna shoot on location. Shoot at an actual mansion with real sets. It adds the kind of the real and kind of authentic feel of the movies, which I love about it. Like in the Holdovers too, them shooting in an actual school in the wintertime felt real. Like you can tell it feels real. Like I'm actually there with these characters or whatever.
Yeah.
Women Blind already. Like I said, the way she builds suspense and tension, I had a knot in my stomach most of the movie. I was like, what is? Because I know something was coming. They were building towards something, but what is it?
Right.
When it happens, my knot was still there, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, she went for it. She went for it, and she goes, here you go, in your face.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Then shock factor, like I said, got my jaws on the floor at the end of it. Again, like, I think also, too, is that you feel uncomfortable about the movie, too.
Right.
I felt uncomfortable at times, even with you. I was like, I don't like this. Like, I kind of feel this, like, icky about this movie said, too, but there are some things that you and I both agreed on that I kind of felt uncalled for. There's a scene in the bathtub. You and I were like, oh, okay. We were like, all right, you're doing this, I guess, but, like...
It was just unnecessary.
Yeah.
It wasn't even, like, because of what the content was. Like, I wasn't offended by that. It just wasn't necessary. Especially...
Right.
Yeah, especially because, like, it's hard to not say spoilers, but some of the things he claims, like, he claims not to feel a certain way towards Jacob Elordi's character.
Yeah, Felix.
So, and then he does that, and then it's like, well, I'm confused, kind of. So, like...
that one scene went on for way too long, too.
Right.
It was like 2 minutes. I was like, okay, this could have been like half second and then flip the camera.
A quick...
No, the camera's on him during this one scene, and I was like...
Yeah, I was not looking.
I put my drink down, I was like, I'm not thirsty anymore.
Anyways.
I was like, you know what? I'm good. I was like, no. I love the kind of mid-2000s vibe of it all.
Yes, even how, like, I feel like even the quality of the... like movie, like I feel like it wasn't even like super high def, like
no, it was like kind of grainy a little bit on film. I like that. Yeah, Superbad was kind of fun. We all watching Superbad. That was kind of hilarious. Oh, we played Low by Flo Rida. I'm like, this is so 2007. I remember that came out. Everyone was like, everyone, their mom and grandma was playing that song,
and they're doing like karaoke with like the words on like the little screen.
And that was like yeah, 2000s.
Yeah, totally. And then did you catch they were always reading Harry Potter?
I did, on paperback too, and I was like, oh, because this is like right before Order of the Phoenix came out, so it was like Goblet of Fire just came out before number 5, so they're kind of like, we're in between now.
So they would have the paperbacks?
Well, that too, but also like, the movies are still haven't been finished yet. Like we don't know what's gonna happen in Harry Potter next if you've ever read the books. It's kind of cool seeing them kind of like all the other like their group independent reading in a way. I was like, totally. Again, it adds to the 2005, 2006, 2007, the 2000s kind of vibe.
Totally.
And at the same time, we can watch this again when it comes out on Blu-ray, on DVD, or whatever, streaming. It feels timeless for some reason too. Yes, there's parts of that obviously, but like how she does with the friendships and what's going on in the movie, like. You don't need phones. You don't need computers, whatever. Now I've been like, oh, on social media, look, I'm posting about this person on social media, whatever. Great, I found about you. But like, it felt like a summer getaway, where you up in the country, you have kind of no service, whatever. Yeah. It felt like still a timeless movie, 16 years later, 17 years later. So I know I talked to her about it. Besides the three, Rosamund Pike, Elordi, and Keegan, like that. The other one, the unknown actors, I didn't know who they were. The sister, the cousin.
Yeah, I like
people
them.
At the school. Again, camera cinematography, it was very immersive. I really brought that up because immersive to me now is like you got to really bring us into the movie because when you watch stuff with the green screen or kind of like fake backgrounds, you can tell this is fake. This is all studioized. Oh, we got another movie like this, but it felt very immersive. Like I saw Babylon. I felt with the 20s, right? In the movies of the 20s or 30s, like it felt like we were in that time period. Like it felt like, okay, I'm watching a movie from this time period. Make it work. And
that's funny you were thinking of Babylon because I was thinking about Babylon too, watching this movie. But I feel like, I don't know, like I think it did something so good.
Yeah.
Saltburn. That how like just like everything matched the aesthetic. Everything was so very 2006. When Babylon, it didn't feel necessarily so very the 20s or whatever it was supposed to be.
Okay.
You know, like because it was like higher definition. It was so like the decadence was so over the top. Like it almost felt modern. And this one felt like everything was very purposeful. Like all the scenes. The music, the clothes from the juicy tracksuit to like the reading Harry Potter, like it all felt very like in that moment of time.
I see what you mean.
That I think like that like totally I can rewatch it and it's a good movie. That I would like not I don't know why I'm comparing them. I literally when I was watching that I was thinking about like Babylon, especially like the big party scene and stuff.
Oh, the beginning.
And I think that I like it better.
Yeah. I watched Babylon again because that was a 3.5 hour movie that's like a lot to take in.
Right, that's true.
It didn't stick with me as much as this movie did.
Yeah, no, totally.
A week later, same cinematographer though. Babylon did Saltburn too.
Oh, really?
So yeah, same cinematographer, same camera guy. The whole like kind of that same director of photography was like the same kind of team.
Yeah.
I love how she utilized the score and the soundtrack at the same time. Like it wasn't too much soundtrack, it wasn't too much score. They kind of like balanced each other out. Like we heard some song from that era or older, and the score kind of like added to like the tension or to like the weirdness of the movie. Cinematography, to me, Emerald Fennell now kind of how I felt about Jordan Peele, Greta Gerwig, the guys who did Uncut Gems, Tattoo Brothers, and Good Time. I'm really on board with her as an actor, as a filmmaker, even more. Because, again, she's proven herself that, hey, listen, I can do these movies.
Different stuff.
Again, you're doing different stuff. You're doing different kind of like twists and turns. You still have a knot in your stomach, and you've had both movies with her, obviously, with Promising Young Woman in this movie, but like she's showing her range as a filmmaker. It doesn't feel like repetitive, or doesn't feel kind of like copy and paste. It felt like really authentic and really great storytelling that was fresh. And I feel like I've seen a lot of movies now or TV shows that like, oh, this feels like this movie, this feels like that show, or whatever. This felt new, this felt unique, it felt ambitious, and felt like, I don't know, just get newer, which I thought was really admirable about her as a filmmaker.
Totally. Now I want to see her do a period movie.
I think she should do some kind of like
some kind of Bridgerton vibe,
Pride and Prejudice kind of thing, you know, that era, or some kind of like in London, something like the '60s London, something like that, or like, you know, kind of like, I don't know, or even she's America, you know, some kind of like something kind of like, with a period, but like maybe a bigger budget too, what she can do with maybe a budget of like maybe bigger. But I think she's writing the Ballerina movie, which I'm hyped for, dude.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ani Armas wanted her to write the movie because they had script already, and she goes, "We need more of like a feminine touch."
Yeah.
And Ani Armas said, "We need Emerald Fennell." So they brought her on board to write the entire script.
Oh wow!
So I was like,
that'll be great then.
I'm like, and you got Keanu coming back for that movie because it's a prequel between 3 and 4.
Right.
And the whole cast coming back too, and I was like,
so is it still like an original, like screenplay if she like comes in to write it? Because it's like not her idea.
She'll probably get she'll probably have a co-writing credit. So it'll be the original writer and her. It'll be like, hey, they both wrote it basically, because you see a lot of times where like if you're a first-time writer or like a newer writer or whatever, you'll get credit for it. Most of the time, it's probably written by like a studio hire or like someone bigger than that. Like a lot of actors, like a lot of filmmakers that we like or writers that we like, they kind of ghostwrite rewrites are not mentioned on the credits.
Right.
Like on IMDb, oh yeah, Seth Rogen co-wrote 21 Jump Street because not credited, but like he did the rewrites, whatever. Because that's how Hollywood works with rewrites and stuff like that. Because they bring in people they can trust, kind of polish up a little bit. So she came on to do a whole rewrite or a lot of rewrites of Ballerina, so she'll get co-writing.
That's gonna be so good. I feel like, I don't know, like you think like John Wick obviously is amazing. I love John Wick.
Yeah.
But I think you think maybe like it's gonna be like action-y, like it could just be like any other like. But I think it's gonna be good that they have her to make it more like, I don't know, like more deeper, darker, feminine
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Even having John Wick there, it's gonna be more of like a different kind of story to the other movies.
Right.
Still the violence. Who's making that movie real quick before we go my cons of this movie? What's this guy's name? Oh, Len Wiseman's doing this movie. Oh boy, he's done some pretty shit movies.
Like what?
Those Underworld movies.
I haven't seen him.
Those are pretty bad. He did a Total Recall movie that was awful. A lot of TV series like Lucifer, The Gifted, Swamp Thing. Yeah, he's doing Ballerina. I would have had her to direct the movie actually, because you bring in the director of the last 4 movies. He's a stunt guy. Have him take over like all the action stuff and have her do more kind of like the deeper storytelling, dramatic stuff. If you ask me, but I know I'm around Hollywood, but. I know. I'm looking for seeing her script come to life on big screen with Ballerina.
Yeah, me too.
My cons though, me and ratios. I love kind of different ratios. IMAX, 4:3, box, whatever. It was just on a 4:3 ratio, kind of like mid '90s in Grand Budapest. I didn't feel the need for it. It was cool. It was really cool. It was the more kind of like the vibe of the movie. I get it, but it only kind of served like the purpose, I would say. I thought like mid '90s, you can tell the reason why a movie shot in 4:3 because it's kind of like almost like handheld camera at times. Yeah. But for this, I was kind of like, it was cool, but was it necessary? How do you feel about that?
I liked it. Yeah? I think it was purposeful in the sense that like how close it was. It was almost like you were like encroaching in on this life, kind of how he was, because he wasn't supposed to be a part of this like lavish, like luxurious, like rich, like world. Essentially, like he was on scholarship. Like he's always going to be like an outsider. Right. So I kind of liked like how small the screen was, because it kind of felt like you were like kind of pushed in there and kind of like, kind of like encroaching in on this world just like he is, kind of thing. That's what I thought. Okay.
Good take. I can't argue with that. I think that makes me kind of rethink my answer now a little bit. So I'll give you that actually.
What else did you have?
The bathtub scene kind of felt necessary, as I said. Yeah. I thought the acting from the cousin and the sister they annoyed the hell out of me, and their acting wasn't the best. I get it, they're new actors, they're young talent, I respect that. But the cousin and sister kind of annoyed me to a point where it was like, you guys kind of suck. You guys kind of like, as characters and also their performance kind of like, were kind of, I don't know, they just didn't feel, they just kind of felt like they're kind of overacting at times. I mean, the guy playing the cousin is a British dude. So, I mean, good for him. His accent was pretty good.
Yeah.
American accent. I can't give him that. Better than the Boston accent we heard in Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll give him that. But the sister kind of just like, to me, just felt like, when she's crying, it was kind of like, it was kind of just like, it felt kind of like, okay, you're kind of playing it up a lot just for like, because you're crying. Or when the cousin was kind of crying, or when the cousin was doing something else, I was like, you're a bit overacting a little bit.
Well, I think they were just so unlikable, and they were kind of both like out of touch with reality that's just like how they acted. Like they just didn't know how to be regular people.
Good point. Yeah, I can see that too. It just, I don't, when they were on screen, I was kind of like the scene in the dean's office with like him with Felix, with Ollie and Farley. I was like, it's kind of annoying, but that's me. Carey Mulligan, who I love, who's in Promising Young Woman, one of my favorite actresses. She's amazing. She's gonna be in MASH show next month. I can't wait to watch that movie with Bradley Cooper. I thought she was kind of underutilized, like, because she was kind of like the oddball into that family kind of thing. Her Rosamund Pike's friend, and she's kind of barely in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't spoil what happens, but like I was like, oh, like I want to see more of her because they work so to get well together in Promising Young Women. I was like, ooh, she's in this too. Let's go.
But I think if they did, then it would just be like, oh, well, she's just making another Promising Young Woman.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the whole thing was like, I think it's like nice when they bring back people that like they've done work with before. And I think she was a new character in this, like completely different.
So different.
She did great. I mean, yeah, maybe a little underutilized, but I think I wasn't mad at it.
And you brought up one thing. I won't spoil anything. You brought up one thing about her character off screen that you brought up, and I was like, "Oh, maybe." And I was like, I didn't think about that till after on the way home from the movie. I was like, "Oh, interesting." I was like, "Oh, interesting."
We're just keeping them on their toes.
We're kind of feeding it in. Well, I'll say on this, there are things that kind of feel feel kind of unresolved, like someone's parents. They can't go back to that at all, or like I said, there's certain things that happen to certain characters that kind of go like unresolved too. And I was like, okay, I get it, but you're right. Or there's one thing at the end, like, how did this person get this? Because on the way home, you were like, wait, how did this person obtain this? Like, and I was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, good point, because like it's kind of suspicious of how this person gets in possession of this.
Right.
How do you really explain that? But again, it's a little open ended, I guess. You can like have your own opinion about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. I'm giving it honestly a solid 8.5 out of 10.
Heck yeah.
What about you?
You said 8.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say you agree.
8.5.
Yeah.
This might be my top 10 of the year. I think at the end of the year. So I really love this movie a lot because I love when I see a film that kind of like sticks with you and adds a little bit of shock factor to it of like, boom, here's what happened, and it makes you think about, your life and your friendships and class and, your status, whatever. So, yeah, I see this movie, I think comes out limited this weekend, but for our market, Phoenix comes out 22nd, next Wednesday. So, see you on Thanksgiving. See you with your parents if you want. Again, it's a family. It's a very big, very ambitious.
I mean, yeah, it's sexual, so I don't know.
I think
look up trigger warning.
This movie will for sure have a lot of discourse and a lot of kind of like conversation after the movie comes out. Like, you think about it, like I think Promising Young Woman came out too. Same thing. It was like, how'd you feel about this thing? How'd you feel about the commentary on this?
Yeah.
I think this movie got a lot of discourse of like, how do you feel about what happened in this? And I think she might get another Oscar nom for this. I think she will. I think screenplay for sure. Direction, I think so too. But I think also Dick Lordy should get supporting actor. I thought he was really good in this.
Yeah, he was.
I heard he was really good in Elvis, but I think he was phenomenal in this.
Priscilla.
Sorry.
Come on.
As Elvis in Priscilla, sorry. All right, we'll end on this. So Z is like the biggest Twilight fan.
Yeah.
When we first met, Twilight. Me was Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. I was on the first Twilight when I was like maybe a teen, whatever. But I remember growing up, like the cool thing in Chicago was like, you like Twilight? Reminds me of the Key and Peele skit. You like Twilight, motherfucker? Hell, you like Twilight, motherfucker? And the same thing. I'm like, all right, what do you? On count of three, the guns pointing at each other. 1, 2, 3. Team Edward. So this is my first time watching the complete saga, all
Right.
5 movies.
Yeah.
Back to back to back on Blu-ray. We bought it last year for Blu-ray for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was an experience because we did the whole Scream thing, Scream rewatch in March because I only saw Scream 1 and 4 and then 5. But I never saw 2 and 3. And then the 6th one came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good experience.
Yeah.
I really did. I would rank them. I would rank them as the first one. I really liked a lot actually.
Uh-huh.
I would do Breaking Dawn Part 2, like the action stuff to that, like the whole kind of like the X-Men stuff, basically in a way of the vampires. And I liked Eclipse a lot for what it was too. Eclipse a lot. I didn't like New Moon was fun, a bit long.
Yeah.
But you explore Jacob's stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And Part 1 of Breaking Dawn is kind of like a big setup in a way, where
it is.
the wedding scene was really cool. It was, it was shot really well. It was shot really well too.
Yeah.
But some of the extended stuff is kind of laughable too. Like the
that's why it's extended. There's some scenes that there's no need, and they're only good for fans. But yeah.
So before we end out on this, you grew up on these movies. These were a big part of your childhood and upbringing, I would say.
Yes.
What about these movies kind of stick with you to this day? That kind of like shaped your childhood, shaped your kind of just like upbringing. Like, what was the thing that kind of just like made you fall in love with these movies? Because it's the genre, so like, what made you fall in love with these movies?
I don't know. I just have like a really like vivid like memory of when I saw the first. I think I was playing like hooky from school. I was like sick, quote quote, and my mom let me stay home, and we like rented it on demand. Back in the day, there wasn't like I don't know if we had Netflix. It was literally on demand.
Back in the day.
And we just put it on. We didn't know really anything about it. My mom was, I don't even know if I probably should have watched it. I don't even know, like 10 or.
I think it's fine.
And it was just so good. Like even from the start of like where the deer is like in the shot, like it was just the whole vibe was so good.
The color palette, and the whole like the
palette, the color palette.
Palette.
Yes, the first one's an indie film for sure. And you even said when we were watching New Moon, you were like, "Why does this look different?" It's because they got
budget.
Yeah, they got picked up. I love Robert Pattinson. Like he's always been my childhood crush because of these movies. I love that man. I just love...
Who's your favorite Batman now?
I just love the story. I read all the books when I was little too after watching the first movie. And I think the movies do a good depiction of the books. Obviously, like, I'm a reader first, so there's a lot of stuff that, like, I don't think translated the best. Especially, like, Renesmee, the baby stuff. Like... She just looks so weird.
Oh, the
CGI.
big eyes. The eyes were, the eyes. Like they kind of put like the Snapchat filter on the baby almost. It was,
yes.
The eyes were huge. I was like, oh my gosh.
That is such a meme. And I think, it's definitely silly. And I like it. Like, the whole community behind it. Like, we know that they're dumb, but they're also, like, good. Like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a phenomenon. I remember like every year, like everyone in my school, like, most people that were the fans of that franchise, mostly the ladies in my school, would line up the night before and line. Back in the day, it was like midnight premieres. You would wait in line. At midnight 12:01, the movie came on. Like it was just at theaters. It was an event. Like those were event movies. I feel like nowadays we have like the Marvel stuff, but like I kind of miss the days of like the Harry Potters and the Twilights, the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
We had that this weekend, obviously, but like. I feel like back then, like those were the events. Like you got to see the next like YA, whether it's Hunger Games, Twilight's coming out, no matter what it was. It was like people were lining up for days. The Team Jacob shirts, Team Edward shirts, the cosplay. Like I feel like we've got away from that now. It's like, oh no, the movie comes out, cool, we're gonna see it. But I feel like you experienced that at Spider-Man a little bit. It was on No Way Home. People were in the costumes, whatever. It was like people were going crazy, whatever. But that was 2 years ago. But I feel like we're kind of going away from like the event movies, basically. But,
yeah. Well, yeah, you never know. There's a new generation coming in, and we'll see what's the latest craze.
Yeah, true shade. How would you rank them in your fan way?
Twilight first,
okay,
always.
Yeah.
I just love the indie vibe. The soundtrack is phenomenal for the whole series. It's just iconic.
Soundtrack.
Like I can just seriously recognize, like, if I hear any song, I'm like, oh, that was in the Twilight.
Bruno Mars, Linkin Park,
Yeah. So I think I would go 1.
Okay.
And then I would go 3.
Clips, okay.
And then I would go the 5th one.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably the 4th and then the 2nd. Yeah. New Moon was just not my favorite. I'm an Edward girl until I die, so it's always very hard to see what happens in New Moon. It's very... But I was, like, crying on this rewatch. I cried on the first one. I cried on the last one. The last end credit scene where, like, they're showing all the actors. The 2 Victorias. It's all
that
so
was
good.
so funny. Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard, who I love. I was like, she's in this? I was like, oh, my gosh. Like, and, yeah, I told Z, I was like, you know, it's crazy seeing where they are now. Like, I feel like Robert Pattinson has a great career. Kristen Stewart has a great career. And it's funny seeing, like, you know, how like these movies still kind of like are still a big part of a lot of people's lives.
Oh yeah.
As well how they're
just
still
like
relevant.
Harry Potter, I would say. I feel like it's like this.
Oh, huge.
The same kind of vibe. Probably Harry Potter was more like a worldwide phenomenon. But I would say they're very comparable, like the fan base wise.
I feel like it's a bit unfair to compare because I feel like Harry Potter had more movies. Where Twilight had 5 years. Also, Twilight did movies back to back every year. They had 2008, 2012.
Yeah.
There was a movie every year. Where Harry Potter might have been like a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years at sometimes. Like it was like kind of like you had more time to wait to build. Where it was
and you like grew
Twilight,
up with them too, because they like were
huge.
so young the first one, and then they're like adults, but
they were huge. But yeah, wait, before we go close on this on the show, we end the show with our 1-in-1s.
Okay.
We do one show you recommend to the viewers and one film you recommend to the viewers.
Oh.
Could be anything you want. Could be anything you want. Could be a show that no one even heard of, a movie that no one heard of too that you love. It's our 1-on-1s of every week.
Okay.
You go
Me first? Okay.
You're our guest.
So, for my show, I'm watching The Buccaneers right now on Apple TV. It's so good. If you guys like Bridgerton, kind of like Regency era, but also with like a modern twist, it kind of reminds me of Bridgerton, as well as there's another Apple show called Dickinson, where it's kind of like they do modern music, they talk modern, but they're in the Regency era. So good. There's only 4 episodes out, and I've devoured it. It's so awesome. I love it. And then a movie, I'm going to say watch Mean Girls to prepare for the musical.
Oh, that's right. Good.
Yeah.
Good tweet. That's good choices. I like those.
Thanks.
Since you're on the show, actually, I'm going to do this for my movie of the week. A movie called True Romance. A movie that, between me and Z's movie that we watch on our anniversaries. A movie that she showed me on our first 2 months of dating, actually, because it was like the only thing that you've seen from Tarantino, basically, right? Tony Scott directed it. It was Tarantino writing and producing it. It's a awesome movie.
Yeah.
It's Christian Slater. Oh my gosh, what's her name? Arquette. What's her name?
Patricia Arquette.
Yes, Patricia Arquette. Thank you. I'm playing her name one time. Christopher Walken's in that movie. Brad Pitt's in that movie. Like young Brad Pitt too. Mm-hmm. It's a romance story, action movie, drama. It's bonkers, but it's very old school Tarantino. There's violence. There's love. There's romance. Great soundtrack too. Love this movie thanks to you. I have a 4K Steelbook and I love that movie so much. It's very 90s, but it's a very kind of like, again, to me, it's also very timeless at time because it's kind of like it's in LA, it's in Detroit, it's all these other places. But you love their chemistry between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. It's a love story.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Alabama
it's a crazy love story.
Crazy love story, but man, it's a wild ride. And the movie's a masterpiece, if you ask me. 10 out of 10. And for my show of the week, oh man, you're better at shows than I am. Actually, I'll give you that. I think I'm more of the movie person. You're more of the show person. You watch a lot of TV shows that I wouldn't even hear about if it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
For shows, I'm gonna do Swarm. Actually, Swarm was really good. It was with Dominic Fishback, Gambino, one of my idols. Mm-hmm. Donald Glover wrote the show, created the show. It's about a fan's obsession. Yeah. For like a Beyonce type figure. Yeah. And it's wild, man.
Talk about like realistic Black Mirror kind of horror. It was great.
It has like Black Mirror, Twilight Zone with kind of like Atlanta mixed to it for sure. Mm-hmm. And it's a wild, 8 episodes. Mm-hmm. Really quick episodes too. Dominic Fishback, Chloe Bailey, not Haley. Haley's the Little Mermaid. Chloe Bailey's in it. And it's an 8-episode wild ride. shit that happens in the show is bonkers.
Crazy.
It goes crazy.
Billie Eilish is in it.
I think her acting debut as an actor.
She's great.
It's a great soundtrack too, but you feel uncomfortable as hell in this movie, in the show, all episodes. But it's wild. If you like Gambino, if you like Don Glover, you like Dominic Fishback, you like kind of like you probably the Beehive, probably the Queen, Beyonce kind of like era.
Yeah.
The show's for you. It's on Prime. It kind of came out like in March. No one else watched it, but I think you and I.
No.
I feel like it wasn't like talked about the way like Atlanta talked about or like other shows talked about at the time. It kind of came and went.
Well, that's the thing with limited series, I feel.
True. But Swarm is a great show. I recommend it. So yeah, True Romance, and Swarm. Yeah. So nice. Zayda, thank you for being on the show this week.
Thanks for having me.
Long time in the works. You know, you always welcome back on the show no matter what. You know where I live.
Thank you. We live together.
We sure do. So Z, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Those guys, we'll see you next time. Have a great week. As always, we'll see you at the movies.